what defines a main event, and which match on this card deserves it?
I gotta say, of the 3 Hell in a Cell matches, we've been saying it for weeks. We said it before WWE officially announced it. Gotta go with the women. They're in the hometown of Sasha Banks. They are in the backyard of Boston, of Banks' hometown. They gotta go with the women. They've deserved it. It's a feud that's been going on and off for the last 3 years. The match is not only historic, I know they've been focusing more on that aspect of the match in recent weeks, but the feud itself feels more worthy of closing out Hell in a Cell than either Owens and Rollins or Rusev and Roman Reigns do.
Interesting. And what, in your mind, what is the main event in general? If you could just, like, in a generic term, what makes a main event for you?
For me, it's the most anticipated match in the card. The match, I don't want to go too traditional here, but the match that's selling the house. I mean, I think that used to be the case in the 80s, that if you had Hulk Hogan's name in the marquee, it was, oh, Hulk Hogan's going to be there, let's go to the show. Now it's like, oh, WWE's in town, let's go to the show. Granted, we're already going to be there. We already got our tickets for the show. We're bound for Boston on Sunday for Hell in a Cell. But I would say that if there was any match that was enticing me to go, if I was on the fence of whether I should be going to Hell in a Cell on Sunday at the TD Garden, it would be this match right here. Because we will undoubtedly, regardless of whether it main events or not, to me it should, like I said, but we will be witnessing history as Sasha Banks and Charlotte Flair, sorry, now they added the last name on there. I gotta correct myself there. They will be stepping inside State and Structure for the first time ever. That itself is historic, and the match itself should be just nothing short of stellar, in my opinion.
Now, for me, I feel like the main event should go on last. That it has to be the culminating of all of your efforts that night, and to give it the pedestal it deserves, because this is not some local rock show. This is not something where people are showing up to see one particular act and then they plan on leaving. These people are here in their seats, standing on their feet, wanting to see every last bit of what the WWE is going to put on for them that night. And that is why, for me, main event means you are the last match of the night, and you are the real, like you said, the true representation of the best feud and the best kind of heated confrontation of athletic competitors that the entire card or roster has to offer. That's what makes a main event. When you add a stipulation in that it is the most demonic structure that the WWE has ever created, then it certainly speaks volumes to the fact that there are 3 of these types of matches. So when you eliminate that as part of the equation, I have to agree with you that on paper and on screen, the best rivalry going right now is between Sasha Banks and Charlotte Flair. Whether Seth Rollins' motivations, that's perennial. He always feels the way he does. Kevin Owens always feels the way he does. Roman Reigns is a new U.S. champion going up against a former U.S. champion. Those things resolve themselves. Nothing about any of those 2 other matches, as main event caliber as all the performers are, scream to me that they should be closing the show. Where's the hype that suggests that their match, even though it's for the Universal title and could possibly change hands, has as much immediate weight? And you have to weigh in the immediate weight. I'm a firm believer that by stating that you're making history, you're almost setting something up for failure. Why not just make it a main event and make that speak enough for itself in history books that this is when this happened? That Pat Patterson didn't used to be an Intercontinental Champion at one time and then became the first. You make history about these things, but I guarantee you he wasn't talking about making history becoming the first Intercontinental Champion. He carried it and moved forward with it, and history proved itself that was a turning point. And that is the history's role, to educate us and inform us. Let the past be education towards the future, and watch examples, not look for opportunity to capitalize on people's emotions and go out there and create some sort of fabricated history surrounding something. I don't see the value in that. So for me, if you remove history from this, if you remove the Hell in a Cell from this, you are still left with Sasha Banks and Charlotte Flair being your main event no matter what, if they're involved in the conversation. They are the women's champion, Sasha Banks, going against the former women's champion, Charlotte Flair. That is far more significant and more interesting news than Kevin Owens digging his heels in with potential help from Chris Jericho or whoever, and Seth Rollins being this architect mastermind. They've both been champions. They've done that for a stretch. They've had their spot in the spotlight. Same thing with Roman Reigns and Rusev. To call that match anything more than just a heated feud, that's not a main event in my mind. Sasha Banks and Charlotte Flair, regardless of history talk, regardless of Hell in a Cell talk, regardless of any of this, it is still the main event, and that's what I am expecting to see as the main event for Hell in a Cell. I think I don't want to take away from the other matches, though. I think all of them have a lot of weight and have been built up, very well between Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns and Rusev. So